What the Hell is Going On? Is a weekly series in which we bring you the most bizarre, outlandish, and surreal developments from around the Jewish world during the past week.
At last, Sunday's Oscars, in an acceptance speech for The Zone of Interest, a film that follows the domestic life of a Nazi commandant whose house is just outside the Auschwitz concentration camp, director Jonathan Glazer made some strange comments. Glazer, who is Jewish, said that he rejected Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. As one social media user observed, Jonathan Glazer made a movie about a man who builds his own professional success on his ability to ignore the suffering of the Jews around him. The man is immune to irony. Also at the Oscars, the films Oppenheimer, Golda, and Maestro were nominated for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. All three films feature non-Jewish actors and actresses who played Jewish main characters: Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer, Helen Mirren as Golda Meir, and Bradley Cooper as Leonard Bernstein, respectively. In other words, these three biopics were essentially nominated for Best Portrayal of Jew Face. Suffice to say, none of them won the award. At a London protest recently, a man was detained for innocently holding a sign that said, "Don't attack the law, Hamas is terrorist." But thousands of provocative, harassing, and bullying pro-Palestinian demonstrators went unchecked, as usual. In Amsterdam, at the newly opened National Holocaust Museum, fireworks were ignited and eggs thrown by pro-Palestinian protesters. Thousands of them were heard chanting, "Never again is now," and "Ceasefire now" at Waterloo Square in central Amsterdam, near the museum, which held an opening ceremony and invited guests, including the Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Dutch King Willem-Alexander. They also held Palestinian flags and signs that said, "Jews against genocide," and the grandchild of a Holocaust survivor says, "Stop Gaza Holocaust." Dutch Jewish anti-Zionist group Erev Rav organized the protest with the Dutch Palestinian community and Socialists International, while human rights group Amnesty International put up detour signs around the museum to direct Herzog to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. The protest organizers emphasized they were protesting against Herzog's presence and the war in Gaza, not the museum and what it commemorates. "For us Jews, these museums are part of our history, of our past," said Joanna Cavaco, an anti-war activist with the Erev Rav Jewish Collective, addressing the crowd ahead of the ceremony. How is it possible that such a sacred space is being used to normalize genocide today? I'm not sure what is worse, protesting a fake pretend genocide at a place that has nothing to do with said genocide, or baselessly claiming that a genocide is taking place at a museum that honors the victims of an actual genocide and the reason why the word genocide was created in the first place. In Los Angeles, a synagogue rented out its space to Muslims for the month of Ramadan, and to make them feel comfortable, all the posters of Israeli hostages taken captive by Hamas, which hang on the walls of the complex, were covered. Fortunately, the synagogue administration reversed its decision and canceled the engagement with the Islamic Society of West Valley, after it also became clear that one of the Muslim speakers compared Israel's actions in Gaza after October 7th to Nazi Germany. One person involved said that the synagogue management completely screwed themselves this time. What is happening to our people? Where have we come that we have to hide the pictures of the abductees to respect the Islamic community? U.S. President Joe Biden's administration continues to make bizarre statements. This past week, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, quote, "Protecting civilians, getting people the assistance they need, that has to be job number one, even as they do what is necessary to defend the country and to deal with the threat posed by Hamas." End quote. In other words, the Palestinians are more important than anything and everyone else, yet again. Never mind that, last week, Palestinian gunmen opened fire on Palestinian civilians waiting for humanitarian aid in Gaza. Then, the Palestinian propaganda circus blamed the IDF, and the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry added the victims to its overall casualty count. That is how it works, Blinken. But that was not even the worst in the latest iteration of Biden's administration betrays Israel. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who is Jewish, gave a speech in Congress a few days ago saying, quote, "The Netanyahu coalition no longer fits the needs of Israel after October 7th. The world has changed radically since then, and the Israeli people are being stifled right now by a governing vision that is stuck in the past." 5 months into this conflict, it is clear that Israelis need to take stock of the situation and ask, must we change course? At this critical juncture, I believe a new election is the only way to allow for a healthy and open decision-making process about the future of Israel, at a time when so many Israelis have lost their confidence in the vision and direction of their government. End quote. I don't even know where to start. Meddling in another country's democracy, trying to speak for Israelis as if you know better, you don't. Effectively victim-blaming Israel for October 7th. At the same time, Schumer's party has been infiltrated by politicians who believe Israel is an apartheid state, regardless of its government. Zionism is racism, but anti-Semitism is not, and Jewish lives do not matter. Awkward much, Schumer? The Free Press published a chart that shows civilian casualty numbers in Gaza according to the Hamas-run Gaza Ministry of Health. The line is completely straight, suggesting that, in the Israel-Hamas war, Palestinians have been dying at an almost perfectly steady rate. Anti-Semitism and free speech have become so out of hand at the University UC Berkeley in Northern California that one professor is not leaving his office until the school takes these issues seriously. Ron Hassner sleeps on a mattress on the floor of his office and teaches his 100-person War in the Middle East class over Zoom, while his 5-person graduate seminar meets in his office. Ron uses the bathroom down the hall and does not shower. His son and daughter, both teenagers, bring him food from time to time. BBC journalists behind a damning report which accused Israeli soldiers of beating and humiliating medics at a Gaza hospital have liked videos celebrating Hamas terror attacks and anti-Israel posts online. Of course, 2 BBC Arabic reporters, Soha Ibrahim and Marie Jose Al-Adzi, were credited with writing the damning report. Earlier this month, London-based Ibrahim liked a video on X of Palestine action activists slashing an oil painting of former British Prime Minister Arthur Balfour, who helped pave the way for the creation of Israel. On the day of the Hamas-led attacks on October 7th, she also liked a post on X which celebrated the first of the martyrs of the operation. The tweet featured a picture of an Egyptian man who was killed after shooting dead 3 Israeli soldiers last June. Meanwhile, Al-Adzi, who has worked at the BBC since 2019 and is based in Lebanon, described Israel as a terrorist apartheid state, in a post from 2018 that has since been deleted. What great journalistic integrity. Things you will never read in English, like what the Palestinian Authority has to say about Hamas in Arabic. Hamas is to blame for starting the war against Israel. Hamas leaders have abandoned the people of Gaza while enjoying a luxurious life abroad. Hamas is to blame for blocking the influx of humanitarian aid, and Hamas is controlled by Iran. But yet again, the Palestinian Authority continues to refuse to condemn the October 7th massacre in English. The Middle East franchise of Starbucks began firing approximately 2,000 employees at its shops across the region last week. That is 10% of its regional employees. Many of them will struggle to find a job amidst the 11% unemployment rate. Starbucks does not own, operate, or franchise a single store in Israel. However, one of its founders is Jewish. So, in an effort to hurt Jews, Jew haters ended up causing damage to underpaid Arab blue-collar workers. What the hell is going on?